the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast with your host, Jackie Pilosoff.
No one should have to go through a divorce feeling alone and isolated. That's why I created the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast. Every show is 30 minutes, and the guests are my Divorced Girl Smiling trusted professionals. They're so wonderful. Financial advisors, divorce attorneys, mediators, divorce coaches, therapists, and more. We talk about every subject that you can even think of having to do with divorce. The podcast is meant to empower you and inspire you and make you feel really, really confident so that you can have a good divorce outcome and a great post-divorce life. You can find the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found, and always at divorcedgirlsmiling.com. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and start smiling. Before we get started, I want to say that one of the hardest life decisions is, should we get divorced or should we try to save our marriage? So many couples go back and forth for months, sometimes even years, trying to make the right decision. Well, guess what? Did you know that there's a process called discernment counseling that is dedicated to helping you and your spouse make that decision? And if you are interested in this, I have a wonderful person to recommend. Her name is Dr. Ginny Wright. Ginny is a therapist and a master practitioner of discernment counseling. Basically, how the process works is it's 1 to 5 sessions. It's not couples therapy where you're trying to work out your issues. You are trying to make the best decision for you and your family. Ginny is so wonderful. She's very dedicated to this and she's extremely experienced. If you want to learn more, you can find her at lwadiscernment.com. I also want to recommend a wonderful divorce attorney named Catherine Murphy. Catherine is a divorce attorney in Minnesota. She has been a divorce attorney for 22 years. She's dedicated. She knows her way around a courtroom, but she's also very willing to mediate cases when appropriate. Catherine is truly passionate about this. She cares so much about her clients. She cares about fairness and integrity. If you want to learn more, you can find her at catherinemurphyesq.com. So before I got divorced, or when I was first getting divorced, I had no idea what mediation was. I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? And so if you're listening to this and you're considering mediation and you're asking a bunch of people about it and you're getting all kinds of answers and you're not really sure what it's like, what to expect, we are going to spend this episode talking about myths and truths about mediation and kind of explain and give you a look into the process. And my guest, obviously, is a divorce mediator. She has been since 2008, 2007. Her name is Ellen Feldman, and Ellen is with CEL and Associates. Her mediation partner is Brian James. Ellen is a former attorney turned mediator. Brian is a parenting coordinator. I've known Ellen and Brian, I'm going to say, for 15 years, maybe 12 to 15 years. They're great mediators. If you want to learn more about them, celandassociates.com. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Jackie.
I love doing podcasts in person. So for people who are just listening, we are together doing this podcast and it's just kind of nice.
Best way.
And also, though, we spent a half hour just talking. So we had to be like, okay, we'll talk later. Let's get to the podcast and then we'll talk more.
Exactly.
Ellen is a wonderful mediator, lots of experience and really dedicated to helping people divorce amicably, smoothly, for not a ton of money, and to have a good co-parenting relationship after the divorce.
Definitely.
All right. So, Ellen, people who come to see you and Brian, do you explain what the process is before you get into it with them?
Definitely. We have a consult first.
All right. So what do you say?
We tell them about the process. We say, we will not tell you what to do. We do not have the power of a judge. We're not your lawyers, even though I am a lawyer. We're not going to give you legal advice that if you want the name of a lawyer, we will give you a lawyer. But we are going to facilitate conversations between the two of you to hopefully get you to agreements on parenting your children, making decisions for your children, discussing holidays for your children, a parenting schedule for your children, and then the finances.
Now, do people come in there and they're like, I can't even sit in the same room with him. I don't think I can do this. What's your response to that?
Those clients have been either sent by their lawyers to mediate or ordered by a court. The judge has said you will mediate.
And I still believe that it's the people who can't stand each other the most that end up being like, okay, and they end up being sort of forced to talk in mediation, and then it works out. It happens a lot.
For sure, because they have very low expectations, and then they're sitting in a room together and they realize that they can make agreements.
Okay, so you're saying that if the person calls you on their own, not because the judge or their divorce lawyer said, here, go see Ellen and Brian, we're going to try mediation. If they come to you on their own, they're usually pretty amicable and they want to work things out in mediation.
Correctly. They also want to save money. So they're there because they think, oh, if we mediate, it's going to cost a lot less than going to lawyers, which is true. But they think that they can do it without lawyers, that they can mediate, come to agreement, and that it'll be less expensive, which is a huge incentive. But they think we're pretty much on the same page. So let's try this and see what agreements we've already made, what additional agreements the mediators can help us make, and how we can get through this in the most amicable, most efficient way possible.
Okay, so that is the first truth that we're going to talk about. We don't even have to talk about it because we just did about mediation. Mediation will save you money. I mean, it's plain and simple. If you go to two different divorce lawyers, you have a lawyer, he has a lawyer, you get billed hourly, you get these monthly bills. I remember when I was getting divorced, I was getting bills for $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. I didn't even have that much money, and I was getting these bills. If you go to mediation, Ellen and Brian are going to give you a sheet that shows you what it's going to cost, how much their hourly rate is, and it's going to be like not that much.
Well, and we're going to give you a list of the issues the things you need to discuss to get divorced. And as you realize that you've checked things off the list, oh, we agreed to that. Oh, we agreed to that. This isn't so hard, even though he's not my favorite person right now. Look at the things we've already agreed to. And you see that you've made some decisions together and that it's not that difficult to get through the process.
Now, when you say here's a list of things we're going to discuss, do you mean that they need to discuss it in mediation or out of mediation on their own, or both?
Either way, both.
Okay, so like you'll have a session with them and say, okay, I want you both to think about this. You can have a conversation in between the session and then come back and we'll discuss it next week.
Right. We give them homework. If they can do the homework, we give them the parenting plan, we give them the holidays. If they can get stuff done on their own in between, obviously that puts them on a path to be good co-parents down the road because they were able to make some decisions on their own, solve some problems on their own. And we say up front, save the hard stuff for us. We're not trying to set you up for failure. So if you know that there are hard, hot button topics on that list, just say, you know what, Ellen and Brian said, save the tough stuff for us. So skip that and say, you know what, we've had trouble discussing that before. Let's save that for our next meeting with Ellen and Brian. But the more they can do for homework before their next session, first of all, they're going to owe us less money, right? Because they've checked things off the list on their own. We might help them tweak things, but they're going to come back to us and say, look, guys, we agreed to these 5 things on our own. We came up with a schedule. We discussed most of the holidays. Whatever it is, if they've come up to decisions on their own and can give us those decisions, those are baby steps towards solving problems together for the future.
Okay, second truth is mediation fosters better communication between the couple. Now, I said this at the beginning of the podcast. I truly believe mediation is a training ground for how to co parent and communicate long after the divorce is over. People think, oh, I'm just going to get to this divorce and then I never have to talk to him again. Wrong, wrong, wrong. If you have children, you will be co parenting. And I have kids in my 20s. One is out of college and we're still co-parenting. He just got his first apartment and we coordinated the move and the furniture and we talked. We had to talk and it was great. But mediation will set you up so that you can have that kind of amicable relationship after divorce.
Absolutely. Because mediation teaches you, what are my priorities? What do I really want out of this divorce? Do I really care about the house? Do I really care about Christmas Eve and the sleepover? Do I really care about Tuesday night because I'm the soccer coach? Whatever it is, it could be a little thing, it could be a big thing. But you have to tell yourself, this is the thing I most care about, and this is the thing I know my spouse really cares most about, and I really could care less about that. So let me give him or her that, and he'll feel or she'll feel like I've given them some big thing that I really didn't care about. And we're talking, we're making decisions together as a team, as a co-parenting team. And then, the kids are little now, but as they get bigger, it'll be, does this kid need a tutor for this class? Or does this kid maybe need a special school? Or how do we decide where they go to college? Or whatever the issues are, they get bigger and more complicated. They don't get smaller.
And you will have learned how to come to these agreements in mediation. And by the way, you can always go back. You can go back for a couple hours on an issue post-divorce if you need to.
Right.
But hopefully you're learning in mediation how to do it on your own.
Exactly. I love post-decree mediation because most of those couples think that I don't need him. I don't need to talk to her. Exactly what you just said a few minutes ago. And they, begrudgingly will call us, oh, we have this issue. So-and-so, my ex-spouse is moving away or wants to switch schools or whatever. And then they realize they have a list of 5 things that they really want to talk to us about. And most of what we do is listen and reframe and redirect. And did you understand he just gave you what you wanted? Did you understand she just said you can have exactly what you asked her for? Because they push each other's buttons and they can't really hear that the other person is giving them exactly what they wanted, because in their minds, it's their ex. How could they possibly be telling me that I can have what I wanted?
Right. Because they're just a bad, awful person and I hate them. So nothing good can come from them. And that's not true.
Exactly.
You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff and I'm your host. Today I'm here with divorce mediator Ellen Feldman. Ellen has been mediating since 2007 with her partner, Brian James, a parenting coordinator. The two of them, you get both of them in the room together. They are fantastic. I've known them for, I'm going to guess, 12 to 15 years and really think highly of both of them. And we're just talking about what mediation is and some truths and myths about mediation. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we have 2 more truths, and then we're going to get into the myths. And some of these are just ridiculous, but we know you're hearing them from people. We'll be right back. The day your divorce is finalized, among other emotions, it's a huge relief. At least I remember feeling that way. But I didn't realize that there's a pretty big to-do list that comes with a divorce being finalized. There's a checklist of things that have to be done. And one of those things is getting a new will and trust. I can't stress enough how important this is, and the process should be started very soon after divorce. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, I just got divorced. I just paid my attorneys. I'm tired of attorneys. We get it. But if you hire a wills and estate planning attorney, it's a one-time fixed cost. Unlike your divorce attorney, you can talk to the person as much as you want and the price is the same. If you want a wills and estate planning attorney in Illinois, I'd highly recommend Emily Wadowski. Emily is so wonderful. She's been doing this for, I think, 17 or 18 years. She's extremely dedicated to helping people right after divorce. Or if you've been divorced for a while, she can help you as well. If you want to learn more or talk to Emily, you can find her at emilyroslaw.com. I also want to tell you about Allison Alexander and Michael Goldstein. They are financial professionals and they're a team who have a focus on providing financial education and guidance to people going through a divorce and after. They are with Savant Wealth Management, and Allison is the co-founder of Wise Women, which is a program focused on helping women manage their wealth. Both Michael and Allison went through a divorce, so they understand personally what you're going through. And they both have so much experience, decades of experience. If you want to learn more about them, you can find them on their website, savantwealth.com. And you can also find Allison and Michael and Emily in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff and I'm your host. Today we're talking about truths and myths of mediation. My guest is Ellen Feldman of CEL and Associates. If you want to learn more or have a consult with Ellen, you can go to celandassociates.com. Okay, another truth is truth. You still need an attorney if you mediate. So you were saying that you and Brian are the kind of mediators that people can just do the whole mediation, or come to you, get the whole deal set up, and then you guys either recommend or they get an attorney just to draw up the agreement.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So people will come to us saying, we're on the same page. We don't need a lawyer. Just, draft this for us, especially when they know I'm a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true to a point, but then a lawyer needs to draft the petition, which is like the lawsuit, and the parenting allocation judgment, which is the parenting piece, and the marital settlement agreement, which is the money piece. Are they dividing retirement accounts? Who's keeping the house? Anything that is financially related, it goes in the marital settlement agreement. And then those documents get to court for a judge to review and sign off on the divorce.
So you still need an attorney, even if you have the most amicable divorce in the world. But a lot of times Ellen and Brian will say, hey, do you need an attorney? And they have some people that they feel really comfortable referring to.
And we know that those lawyers are going to charge them much less because they've mediated. So we're not going to send them to a lawyer who's going to say, oh, you didn't need to give them that. You didn't need to give her that. Those lawyers are not going to instigate a battle. Those lawyers are going to say, good job, guys. You mediated a good, solid settlement. I'm just going to draft the documents for you.
And for people who are like, well, how do I know if I'm getting a good deal? Even I would trust Ellen and Brian, but even if you were like, okay, I want another set of eyes, the attorney that they give or that you give your agreement to that they drafted is that other set of eyes. And if there is something like, are you sure you want to do this? They're going to say that. And then you get a third set of eyes because a judge might not sign off on something that the judge doesn't think is like fair and isn't in the realm of fairness. And Ellen, you say that probably never happened.
Plus, there can be a middle step. The judge can say, are you sure you want that? I'm not sure this is fair to husband or wife because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe you will go back to the mediators and try again. And that has happened a few times where they've come back to us and we've tweaked something or had another session with them and worked through something that a judge didn't think was fair to one party or the other for whatever.
Well, isn't that nice to know that you have that set of eyes?
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to the myths. Number one, you can't mediate your divorce if it's a high conflict divorce. What does high conflict even mean?
High conflict means they can't stand each other. They don't want to be in the same room together. They are just out to get each other. And they really can't even hear what the other person is saying. They just don't want to give anything.
There's too much resentment. There's too much anger, too much ego, so much just frustration in the other person. I can't look at you. And I truly believe, I said this at the beginning of the podcast, those kinds of couples, they can mediate, because what mediation does is it forces you, well, not like force, but it facilitates conversation. And so if they can go in mediation and get out whatever it is off their chest, they might say, okay, now I can talk.
Well, that and like I said at the beginning, they have such low expectations. Either their lawyers have said, you need to mediate the parenting plan. You can't come to an agreement on your own. The judge is going to make you mediate. So let's cut to the chase. I'm sending you to Ellen and Brian. Let's give it a fair shot. Try with the mediators first. They have such low expectations because they don't think they're going to make any agreements. So they come to us and they're making agreements because they didn't expect that they'd be able to do that.
Yeah, it must be a good feeling.
Right. It's a great feeling for us because they're sitting there saying, well, I can have Monday, Tuesday. He can have Wednesday, Thursday. We can flip-flop the weekends. He's the soccer coach. I'm fine with him having Tuesday. I'm the one who's helps the child study for the spelling test or the math test. Or I'm the one who really wants Friday night because I take the kid to, skate at the skating rink on Friday. Whatever it is, they realize that they can give each other what the other person wants, and they're making agreements, and then they're happy, and it's working.
Okay, I'll tell you another secret that I think is so funny. Not funny, but kind of funny. I think when people are that high conflict, it's because they still care. It's all emotional. And if you didn't really care that much, you could sit down and you could get divorced. And that's not a bad thing either. If that happened, then you're getting divorced. But if you're in this really high conflict, you are so deeply hurt that you do care. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so high conflict.
They still care and they still really love each other.
Right.
Or one person is so hurt that they still care that the other person cheated or the other person hid money or the other person, whatever reason they have for wanting the divorce, the other person did something so awful that they're still really angry and they still really care and they're really upset about it.
For sure. Okay, next myth is mediators decide what's best for the couple.
Absolutely not. We facilitate.
But Ellen, does anybody, I know you guys are a third party neutral and you don't tell people what to do, but what if they say like, well, what do you guys think? Because I would say that in mediation. I would go, well, what do you guys think we should do? We don't know the laws. We don't know what we're supposed to do. Tell us, guide us.
Well, and that's where a lawyer comes in. I cannot tell you what to do. I can tell you what would likely happen in court. I can tell you I can give you ideas of what other couples have done. But if you want a lawyer to tell you to give you legal advice, let me give you the name of a lawyer, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not my job.
You can also go to like some kind of a coach if you don't know what to ask for or don't know what to do. That's what a lot of these divorce coaches do. Like I'm not talking about the emotional part of it, although that does play into it, but like someone like Hirsch Sermon, a financial divorce coach, he can kind of like guide you because he can work the numbers for you.
That, but also a divorce coach can help you, which we do too, to some extent, can reframe, can say, do you understand? She just offered you exactly what you asked her for. You couldn't hear it because I'm not going to say you can't hear it because you hate her, but you can't hear it because
Your mind is clouded.
right, because you know how to push each other's buttons. So she starts to talk and you shut her out because you can't stand the fact that she's talking and she's offering you exactly what you want.
Okay, next one is I will feel more heard if I go to court and tell the judge about my case.
The judge could care less about your case.
And it's not personal either.
The judge doesn't have time. The judge has hundreds of cases on his or her call. We care. We will listen. We will often, the first session is one person or the other telling us, do you understand he cheated on me? And us saying, do you understand that mediation is forward focused? So I know you really care that he cheated on you, but that doesn't matter in the mediation process. You're welcome to tell us about it, but we need to get you to the point where you can move from this point forward and put that in the past and go from here to how are we going to handle that and move into the future and put that behind you.
Okay, so another case in point for a divorce coach. If you're listening to this, if you hire a divorce coach, they will sit and listen to you for the whole session. You can sit and talk and tell your coach how you're feeling and all the awful things that your ex did to you and why it's gotten to this point. And you will be so validated and you will be able to make better decisions in mediation because you will have felt heard, validated, and understood. And the divorce coach will then say, well, how is that making you feel? And how is that affecting your decision? Do you think maybe you're trying to keep the house because you're trying to hurt him and you don't want him to have it? Things like that. I'm telling you, a divorce coach, I almost feel like now is a must. It completely will help the mediation process. And to get back to our myth, no judge is going to give you more than 30 seconds to tell your case, and then they're just going to move on and you're going to leave there feeling so disappointed, and you'll have spent like $1,000 or $2,000 on the lawyers being there and the case and all this, and it will just drag on. All right, we have time for one or two more myths. If you mediate, you never have to see the inside of a courtroom. Well, that is kind of true, but you do.
You still have a prove up. So
okay,
if you
tell everyone what a prove up.
So a prove up is when the judge has your documents, the documents I described a few minutes ago. The judge has the petition, the judge has the parenting allocation judgment, and the judge has the marital settlement agreement. So the judge knows your deal, the settlement, and the judge is going to ask a few questions, or maybe not. The judge might look at it and say, good job, I like the settlement you came up with. So the judge, some courtrooms are in person now, some are still by Zoom. So you are, in theory, in front of a judge for 5 or 10 minutes.
One time.
Right.
You have to go to court one time if you do mediation.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
This has been great.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for taking time to be on the show.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And if you want to learn more about Ellen or have a consult with her and Brian, you can find them at celandassociates.com. You can also find them in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. So just go to divorcedgirlsmiling.com. You can also go to that website to listen to more podcasts or read articles on every topic from thinking about divorce, going through one, after divorce, dating, lifestyle, and more. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.